You're in a real estate transaction and something fails in the property before settlement. What happens next? Find out on Tom's Take. You're definitely going to want to watch this one. The market is a lot different than it was at the beginning of 2020. Video tours as a method of deciding if you're going to purchase a home are very common right now. Folks are using Facetime and relying on realtors or family members or friends to determine if they should buy a house, which is all great. I'm a big supporter of it. It makes the transaction faster. It's more efficient. Totally agree with that. Sometimes there's unintended consequences that come from these innovations in any industry. And one of them is what happens if something breaks between when you buy the home and when you go to settlement. This can also happen when you're waiving inspections, which is still a thing. So what I wanted to explain today is what happens when something fails between when the buyer and the seller execute a contract and you go to settlement. So I'm just talking about Pennsylvania. I'm going to give you the Pennsylvania agreement of sale language and then explain what it means. So if something fails between the time of contract and settlement, the agreement of sale spells this out really clearly. The first option is that the seller can repair or replace the system. That's it. There's no negotiation with the buyer. There's no if this, then that clause. It says the seller may repair or replace the item, period. Then the next section of the contract, it says or, that the seller has to deliver written notice to the buyer, whether they plan on crediting for a fair market value or not doing anything at all. So the options are fix it and you're good as a seller, or offer a credit, or tell them you're not going to fix anything. If you go to those second two options, then the buyer has a decision to make. The buyer's got 5 days to decide whether they are going to accept the solution that was provided or if the buyer's going to terminate the agreement. And if the buyer doesn't respond in that time frame, then they are agreeing to purchase the home in its current condition. So the agreement of sale is pretty clear. And here's the challenge that I see with this. A lot of buyers, they see something wrong at a walkthrough. They see something go wrong. They immediately say, I want to terminate the contract. And at no point in this section of the agreement is there any mention of you can terminate no matter what. You can terminate if something fails no matter what, because things do go wrong in homes. And if the seller's really going to fix it or really going to repair it in the right manner, and remember, any repair needs to be done in a workmanlike manner in Pennsylvania. That's the language in the agreement. If those things are done, then there's nothing to talk about. So it's only if the seller balks at the repair or replacement is there the ability to get out of the agreement of sale. Here's the next part of this particular clause. Things are a little more involved when it's maybe an outlet breaking or maybe a light fixture goes out. What if there's a fire or some sort of casualty? A tornado's recently hit the region. So if that happens and there's some sort of damage like that, the options for the buyer are to accept the property in its current condition and get the insurance money, says it right in the agreement of sale, or the buyer can terminate the agreement. So if it's a normal fix, a normal failure, normal repair, the heater blows out, a leak in the roof, the seller can fix all that stuff and be done. It's if they balk at the repair, that's when there's the ability for the buyer to get out of the contract. So what you should know if you're a seller is that if you fix everything and convey the property in its current condition, there's no outs for the buyer. They can't get out of the agreement. And for buyers, the only time you have that ability to terminate if something goes wrong after the inspections are negotiated, after you go through all the contingencies, it's if the seller says, hey, I'm not fixing it, tough luck. That's the only chance. And obviously, if you feel differently or you got questions about this, you got to talk to a professional or you might need to get an attorney involved. And that's what we tell everyone, is that we're not attorneys. We can't interpret the agreement of sale. We can just tell you what it says. And this is in black and white, very clear in the agreement of sale. That should explain it. And again, you got questions, you want to know more, you know where to reach us, and we'll keep this information coming. See you next week. You're definitely going to want to watch this one.